Você que tá aí ouvindo esse podcast, lembra que antigamente as pessoas escreviam documentos em máquinas de escrever? Agora, enviam mensagens pelo celular de qualquer lugar. Antes, as empresas tinham um monte de papelada de reembolso de deslocamento dos funcionários. Agora, existe Uber para empresas, a plataforma gratuita mais simples e eficiente para a gestão das viagens corporativas. Acesse uber.com/empresas e saiba mais. Uber para empresas. A gente move, seu negócio avança.
Uma pausa no seu podcast para contar que chegou o novo Peugeot 2008. Um carro que impressiona até quem já viu de tudo. Conheça uma experiência de puro prazer em dirigir com acabamento sofisticado e design inconfundível. Descubra como conforto e tecnologia podem elevar o nível da sua experiência de direção. Conheça o novo Peugeot 2008 e deixe a inspiração te guiar.
Jackson Brown, love this. One quick note about that interview I did. Again, I left Dr. Matt Spiegel and Sammy Spiegel's office, and initially they're going to do this Inside Edition interview right outside the doctor's office. And they're like, well, we hate to ask you this, but can you go down to Madison Square Garden? I'm trying to get back to Queens. I'm trying to get home. Turns out the Q train, I didn't know this, but the Q train you get on 2nd Avenue, and it goes to the west side. Goes right to Madison Square Garden. Worked out great. They wanted a sports theme behind me, and I'll do anything for Deborah Norville. I love Deborah Norville. Said, okay, fine, I'll do it. I'm on the show all the time. So I show up. There's a truck there, a pretty young reporter, Emma Cady, out of St. Louis, Missouri. Never met her. She was very nice. And we do this interview. She probably asked me about 5 questions, about 5 minutes long. That was it. But, of course, on television, they give you 10 seconds. Literally 10 seconds. But the funny part about that specific segment that Norville did on Travis Kelce was I was one of 3 different personalities / shows they interviewed. And they wrapped me right in the middle. So the first cut you see, as they're talking about Kelce, is Boomer Esiason, Gio, and Jerry Recco in the studios at WFAN, and Boomer, of course, is doing all the talking. And then they go back to the narrator, and they come to me, Sid Rosenberg, host of Sid Sports Sunday, which has not been on the air here for a good 4 years, outside of Madison Square Garden, and then they go back to the narrator, and then they go, you ready for this? The View. They got into The View during a commercial break, and they interviewed Whoopi Goldberg about Kelce. So the beauty about this thing last night was I was just on Fox News Pilot Commute last week. This may be the only time you'll see me on a television segment with Boomer Esiason and Whoopi Goldberg, especially Whoopi. I like Boomer. Boomer's fine. And Boomer's a Republican. He loves Trump. He won't say that on the fan, but I'm telling you he does. But Whoopi Goldberg was on Moments After Me. I didn't even know that till I watched it. I watched it last night like the rest of you did with Danielle and Gabe. Hilarious. All right. Jeff Lax in yesterday's New York Post, Kingsborough professor. Antisemitism report lets CUNY off the hook. Of course it does. Offers no help against hate. It's by Jeff Lax. Jeff, good Wednesday morning, buddy. How are you?
God bless you, Sid, for always covering this. Thank you.
No, God bless me. You're doing all the hard work. You're the one working at a CUNY University. You're the one out there letting people know really what's going on behind these closed doors. You're the guy that wrote this column in the New York Post. And for me, and if my timeline is wrong, you'll correct me, it dates all the way back to this young girl, this animal, who was the valedictorian, the law school at CUNY, that made that speech maybe 2 years ago, 2 or 3, I forget. And it was just loaded with anti-Semitism and hate. They never did fire anybody at that school, right? They never got rid of the dean of the law school, any of it. And for me, that was kind of the beginning. Now, of course, it's been exponentially quadrupled since October the 7th. But did it not really start there, or was it going on way before? We just weren't aware of it.
That's when the media started picking up on it. But the truth is, behind the scenes, CUNY had been getting rid of its Jews for years and years, probably about a decade. In fact, today, of the 45 senior leaders in senior leadership at CUNY, there are no Jews.
Zero?
How do you not?
Wait, zero? You're telling me 0 out of 45?
Zero. How a Jew to hire one in the senior administration. If you go to the senior in New York City with 20% Jews, Sid, how do you not fall over a Jew by accident and hire one?
Wow.
They have 0 Jews in their senior leadership, and that has been a gradual thing that's happened in the past decade. That has never happened before since they became a university in 1961. They've always had 9, 10, 12, 13 Jews. 0 today. How is that possible?
I don't know, but I want to get back to CUNY a second. Jeff, I know you're very familiar with my daughter Ava, her story. She went back to the UK on Sunday. She's back at Cardiff in Wales. There's 23,000 students at that school. There's only 22 Jews. She's one of them. And she's been around walking the campus. She starts classes Monday. She's got a week to, move into her apartment and see her buddies in London, the whole thing, And she's already seen all kinds of hate propaganda, a rally already being held by the pro-Hamas folks, Queers for Palestine, with a huge event, these morons at her school. So if it makes you feel any better or worse, it's not just CUNY. My daughter is having a difficult time every day in the UK.
And I hope you're so proud of her, Sid. She's a chip off the old block. And I saw the articles about her. I mean, I am so proud of her. I'm horrified what she's seeing and going through there. But I'm also proud of her for standing up and not surprised that she's a Rosenberg.
I'm going to send her this clip because she loves you. My daughter's very, very aware and familiar with all the people that fight for us. And you're right there. You dove hiking to all those guys at the top of the list. So thank you for saying that. So, again, you're still at Kingsborough Community College. Give me what's going on there. I know that, again, here in New York City, in Manhattan, it's ugly. But I got to imagine, isn't Manhattan Beach still mostly Jewish? Isn't that area still okay?
The surrounding area is, actually. And I God bless John Katzimatidis, by the way, for beautifying that whole area, and also for then going and saving the legendary, I meant to say, WABC,
right.
because look what George Soros is doing. He's going out and buying all these radio stations to stop shows like yours from existing.
Yeah, well, but just so you know, I'm glad you brought that up because it's in the Post today. My good buddy Jimmy and Carvaya in sales just sent me that story. And George is involved with Odyssey, my buddy Chris Olivero's stations, WFAN, 1010 Wins, now defunct CBS. But as far as I know, he does not make any programming decisions just yet. Now, is that going to change? Maybe. But he's not a majority owner of any of these stations. Also turns out, by the way, his kid, who's even more dangerous, Alex Soros, he just met with Tim Walz here in a New York City apartment. So Soros buying up radio stations, his kid meeting with Walz. What does that tell you about the Democrat Party?
I mean, it's really scary, and it goes back to legislation that Obama was involved with when he was trying to get rid of any right-leaning conservative talk radio, and it's still going on today. And I hope you're right. I hope that he stays minority leader and doesn't get involved in programming, but I don't think that's why he's doing it. I just hope that leaders like Mr. Katzimatidis, who has been he's been really a boon to that whole area around Kingsborough, and I hope he stays doing, and people like him step up to support shows like yours.
All right, listen, he's my number one supporter, and in fact, he's on every Monday, John, and we had a great conversation about the Greek people. He met with with Rabbi Schneier on Monday, and it was a big event. Dershowitz was there. The Greek people and the Jews get along great. You know that. And yes, he from Manhattan Beach down to Coney Island to, let's be honest, some of the most dangerous parts of Coney Island, John Katzimatidis has fixed because of that beautiful Ocean Drive building, which I've stayed at, right there on the beach. So there's no question John is a huge friend of the Jews. John versus George Soros in radio. John wins every time. It's like Trump versus Harris. Trump better win, and John better win too. And that brings me to this. So I've had two guests in the last couple of weeks that I love dearly, Jeff. I love them. They're my good friends. I don't care what you write on Instagram or Facebook. I love them. Alan Dershowitz and Michael Rappaport. But both have complained about two things that Donald Trump has said. Okay? Both are leaning towards Trump and they're lifelong Democrats, but they complain about two things. One is, if you're a Jew and you don't vote for me, you're basically insane. Okay? You don't care about the Jewish religion, But the second one, where I think Donald Trump is 100% correct, is if you don't vote for me, Israel may be gone. Now, instead of getting mad, Dershowitz and Rappaport, don't get mad for Trump. Vote for Trump. You know, they quote the Torah. Jeff, I'm going to be in Shul next Thursday, Rosh Hashanah. I'm going to be in Shul in Israel for Yom Kippur. You can't pray this one away. Hashem is my God, too. But when they wrote the Torah, there were no nuclear weapons. So don't tell me that Trump is out of line when he says Israel's existence is in jeopardy. Jeff Lax, he's right.
Well, what else do you need to know? By the way, God bless you and safe travels on your way to Israel during this time. What else do you need to know than that Iran is desperately trying to assassinate Trump? What else do you need to know? That tells you everything you need to know. They want Kamala Harris to be the president. That's all you need to know. That Iran does not want Trump in power.
Yeah.
Because Trump's going to weaken Iran and protect Israel.
And how sick is it that the Iranian president spoke right here in New York City yesterday at the UN and got a rousing round of applause. Just unbelievable. But getting back to CUNY for a second, so there were all these issues, right? You had these animals. They broke into the famous hall at Columbia, and it turned out that the DA, Alvin Bragg, dropped all the charges. The mayor, that waste, he went to Rome on the first day of Passover, didn't do anything. And I say this all the time, Jeff. Take the pro-Hamas people off the lawn. Make them Ku Klux Klan members who are out there threatening black people. Do you think Eric Adams would have waited 13 days for the president to call? Or do you think he would have sent the whole damn army in?
No, I totally agree. Jews have always been treated differently. We're subject to different standards. It's especially true in academia. And this report that came out, they had one job, Sid, one job, define anti-Semitism. Because anti-Semitism is complicated. It's not like the other protected classes that you're talking about. It's not a nationality. We're a diverse group.
And by the way, and just as I was like, people do confuse, Jeff Lax, maybe you can, while you finish this part of it, anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism.
Yeah, I mean, one thing the report did very well, it did do a couple of things well that I was happy with. And one of them was that you can't use the word Zionist and Zionism and that concept to basically commit anti-Semitism. So that was an important thing that it did. But anti-Semitism, in order to fight it, you have to define it. And the report refused to define it because anti-Semitism is complex. It's not just a race. It's not just a nationality. It's not just an ethnicity. It's not just a religion. It could be any one of those things. And the report never goes into that. And the report admits, and how pathetic is this, Sid? The report admits that one of the main reasons it didn't want to force CUNY to define anti-Semitism was that it would be too, quote, controversial. Their whole job was controversial. That's why they're not going to define it. Oh, God. And they quoted an anti-Semite, Mark Ayash, to show that it's controversial. Mark Ayash has said that the IRA definition, the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, the most popular definition of anti-Semitism, the most legitimate. They quoted him, who said it's a conservative movement, a Republican conservative movement. The guy's a terror defender. The guy's a BDS activist.
Unreal.
They actually quote this guy in their report to make it, quote unquote, controversial.
Wow. Final 30 seconds. You really are a hero, Jeff. Final 30 seconds. Anybody messes with you in Brooklyn, I'm coming by train to kick their ass, just so you know, and I can do it. My shoulder's fixed now, thanks to Dr. Matt Spiegel. Final 30 seconds. You have been trying for years. You really have. It started, I think, in studio with me and Bernard years ago. Your other friend, I think his name was Mike. I forget. He's a big baseball fan.
Yeah.
There you go. You've been trying to get me to speak at the commencement address, but Kingsborough, because I am by far, it's not even close. You got a couple of Indian doctors, and I don't know who these people are. I'm by far the most famous person ever to walk the halls at K by the Bay. Me and, of course, Danielle, my wife. She came to visit me there a couple of times. But on a serious note, am I any closer now to delivering the commencement address at Kingsborough?
You mentioned Pete Falcone last time, which was a good one,
yeah,
too.
Falcone's pretty good, but he ain't, come on, the guy has pitched for the Mets 30 years ago.
I'm kidding. Listen,
he's a good one.
I am on that, Sid, I promise you. I think this year we're going to try again. I promise you.
It's going to be worse. I'm going back to Israel. Now they really hate me.
Listen, it's an uphill battle, but if there's a new administration there, listen, the new president might be good. I don't know her yet. I really don't know her very well. She might be great. I am going to raise it. I promise you. I really will.
No, I know you will. I'm going to tell you this, though. I'm showing up anyway, so whether I'm speaking or not. And if they don't want me to speak and I show up and everybody goes nuts, oh, my God, that's Sid, they're really going to look stupid.
Sid, just bring a tent and the hat to let you on.
Right. My own Sid encampment right there on Oriental Boulevard. There we go.
There you go.
Jeff Lax, I love you. I really do. You're great.
Buddy. Safe travels. Be well. Happy holidays. And Shana Tova.
You too. Chag Sameach and a Happy New Year. This guy's terrific. I love him. Jeff Lax, professor at Kingsborough Community College in Brooklyn. His new story in the New York Post yesterday and today. Antisemitism report lets CUNY off the hook. Offers no help against hate from Lax.